Welcome, welcome. If you just joined the call, go ahead and tell us where you're calling in from and who you are.
Good evening, Chris. It's Erica Cheek from Hampton, Georgia.
Welcome, Erica.
Tim Neal, Puerto Rico.
Welcome, Tim.
Thanks, Chris.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Get your messages out to your team, even potential partners to come on. It's the Millionaire Mentor Call. We got some exciting stuff happening tonight. So make sure everyone is here. Latoya, welcome.
Great
Erica
evening.
Neal, Puerto Rico.
Erica, welcome.
Carla in the DMV.
Carla, welcome.
Recording in progress.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you just joined, go ahead and tell us where you're calling in from and who you are. Welcome,
Tammy from
JD.
Maryland.
Welcome, Tammy.
Laura Johnson, South Carolina.
Welcome, Laura. Got some more people joining. Everyone's trickling in. It is an amazing Monday. Getting the week off, training, mentorship, trading, you name it, it's happening. Got some more people joining. If you just joined, go ahead and tell us where you're calling in from and who you are. Don't be shy.
This is Kendra from Ocala, Florida.
Kendra, welcome.
Hey.
Frank
This is
from
Ava from
Oklahoma.
Texas.
Frank, and heard somebody else come in.
Ava from Texas.
Ava, welcome. Frank and
Thank
Ava,
you.
welcome.
Mark Store from Los Angeles.
Mark, welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Some more people joining. If you just joined, tell us where you're calling in from and who you are.
Victor Lewis, South Carolina.
Welcome, Victor.
Daryl Clark, Chesapeake, Virginia.
Welcome, Daryl.
Thank you.
Hey, Chris. Gabby Tolber, Orlando, Florida.
Welcome, Gabby.
Hey, Chris Thomas in the DMV.
Welcome, the DMV.
Jose, South Florida.
Welcome, Jose.
Thank you, Chris.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. You just joined the call. Tell us where you're calling in from, who you are, and where you are. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Got some more people joining. While you're getting ready, make sure you put yourself in a position to learn, to listen, to be quiet, to not be distracted, because we're going to be covering some information tonight. Every Monday night when we have our Millionaire Mentor Call, the information that we gather is life-changing. So you got to make sure you pay attention. Get as many people on to get this information live, because you don't want to be in the chat seeing all those messages going off like, oh, they dropped those nuggets tonight and you didn't hear it and you got to run back, grab it. Welcome, welcome. If you just joined, go ahead and tell us where you're calling in from and who you are.
Mike Sullivan, Boston.
Welcome, Mike.
Jared, Houston, Texas.
Welcome, Jared. Welcome, welcome. Got some more people. Yeah, fear of missing out, Latoya. You don't want to be in that position. You don't want to get the spoiler alert. You want to be right there, grand opening.
Roxy from Manhattan Beach, California.
Welcome, Roxy, fresh off of your trading class.
Yes, sir. Excited for this though. Dude, I've been waiting.
Cut the class early. I'm ending early. Welcome, welcome. If you just joined, go ahead and tell us where you are, who you are. We are almost at the time to get started. We got about 60 seconds. More people are trickling in.
Donna, St. Louis, Missouri.
Welcome, Donna.
Audra, Lantana, Florida.
Welcome, Audra. We got some more people joining. Everybody's running to get in at the same time. Tickets are almost sold out. Welcome, welcome. Mr. Pacheco, let me know when you're ready. We can get going. So we got some people sliding in still. Welcome, welcome.
Hey, Chris.
Hello, sir. Exciting. Oh, we got some stars on the line.
Ready to go.
We got Mr. Pips. We got Miss Roxy, Mr. Miller. Some stars. Okay, we said we're ready, Mr. Pacheco. I'm sorry. I was, recognizing the educators when I see on the line. All right, let's make you. All right, well, everyone, thank you for joining tonight. Every Monday, we have a jam-packed session starting from the early week before the sunrise. We got trading education happening throughout the day. And then at the end of the night, we end it with our Millionaire Mentor call. Today's going to be an exciting call. It's led by one of the founders of our organization. And this gentleman is a connector of all the things that are happening. Everything that's happening right now when it comes to trading, he has a piece of it. He has a piece of it involved. So that he's been trading for some time now, serial entrepreneur. You know his resume. You've heard it time and time again, but every time we say it, it gets more impressive because of the networks he's established, the people that actually connect to him and say, you know what? I want to work with Mr. Pacheco. Whatever you're building, I want to come over there. How can I be involved in that? So answer the call, first ring. Mr. Pacheco, what do you need? That's the type of clout and the proximity that we're in. So make sure you're in a quiet place because tonight's going to be an exciting call. From what I understand, there's going to be some exciting things happening on this call tonight, some exciting information. So make sure you have your pens and pencils ready, no distractions, turn the football game off. It's not the more important game right now. This is the most important place right here you want to be. So without any further ado, Mr. Pacheco, I'm going to hand the mic off to you.
Thank you so much, Chris. Appreciate that very much. Hi, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Hope you're doing great. I'm excited. Been looking forward to this particular webinar for a while now. And so tonight we're going to be doing things a little bit differently. We're going to switch things up a little bit. But before we do, I do want to talk about a few things. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And we're going to be very brief on this, but I do want to cover just a couple of things before I introduce one of our main speaker here today. And of course, this is the Millionaire Mentorship. And so when we talk about the Millionaire Mentorship, I think it's important, I think it's crucial that we understand the business slash entrepreneurship landscape. And I did a training, and I've done a training for many, many years, about 20, I'd say I was about 18. I'm 53 now. So you guys do the math. I learned and 8 steps to success. And I've done a training like that before, and I think I shared some of that here at the Millionaire Mentorship. And I don't know when it was, but one of the steps was know where you are and where you are going. And that's very, very important, because it's difficult to get where you want to go without realizing where you're starting from. Now, it's not necessary to make decisions based on where you are. You always want to make decisions with the end in mind. However, we need to understand what the reality is in entrepreneurship and building businesses and even in network marketing. This really does apply. We get excited, we hear an opportunity, we hear about what's going on here at our company, or any company for that matter. And you see people that are successful. You see people that have made a ton of money, and that's how we keep score, and that's how we measure the success in our businesses, really usually tied to a number. And of course, there's other factors. There's location freedom, there's inner freedom, and there's financial freedom, and all of these different things. But that is a marker, right? Your success sometimes is, we measure it by how much money we've been able to make. And so that is really one marker, right? That is, you can't dispute it. It's indisputable, right? And so that's what we look like. And so when we get excited and we look at that, we figure that success is going to look like that. You're like, oh my gosh, we have this amazing product, we have this amazing service, or we have this amazing idea, this concept. And it's just going to be straight up, because everybody's going to see it the way I see it. And so, but the reality, folks, is that very rarely does that happen. Are there, some situations where that might be true? Sure. But the reality is that in most often than not, it's going to look like the right side. It's going to look messy. It's going to look ugly. It's going to look unorganized. It's going to look scary. It's I look at that the right side of the screen there, and it gives me feelings of I mean, it kind of takes me back, as I know what it's like when you're in that that confusion stage and early success, and then you go down, and then you go back up, and I got it now, and this is the way. And no, you just kind of chase your tail, and you tie yourself in a knot, and then whoa, now you're way low. And I'm thinking, man, with that dip right there, yeah, that was when I was on food stamps, and then started climbing out again, and then and it just kind of goes. And so that is the reality. And so we have to understand that success is not a straight line. But here's the truth: if you don't get started, it takes that much longer to get to where you want to go. So can it be as simple and as clean as on the left side? Hey, I've had some amazing success where everything just pans out and it goes right, and but that's really the exception. It's not the rule. I remember this one time, every single thing that we were doing was going right. I mean, we're doing millions of dollars in business on a weekly basis, and it was just fantastic. And I was so grateful with God, and I said, God, man, you're just blessing me and my family. And I walked into a meeting, and oh my gosh, some other door opened, and I was already feeling grateful that day. And I said, oh my gosh, God, now you're just showing off. And so we have those times, right? We have those eras, and it does happen. But most often than not, folks, success is not a straight line. Now, we need to understand, though, where we are. And so I want to show you kind of what the landscape is out there. And I'm not doing it to scare you or to depress you or anything like that, but I think it's important that we cover a little bit of that. And obviously that's not on the slide here. This is just a recap, but I want you to think of this particular slide not so much as to where you are, but what is valued in where you are. So we talk about the cash flow quadrant many times, and we talk about it in the sense of, which quadrant controls the highest percentage of the wealth. Obviously, it's the right side, which is the business owner and the investor. But when you look at it from the perspective of what you value, it really makes you start to think about how you make your decisions, right? So an employee, they value security. Now, I could give you stats and figures, and I'm going to give you some right now where that's just an illusion. Security is just an illusion. In fact, my knee-jerk reaction to that is I have zero control over what my future is going to be as an employee. Why? Because I can never catch up to the rate of inflation as an employee, period. That's it. That's just no argument. If I can't keep up with the rate of inflation, then the security that I value is really not there. But typically, we believe we've been indoctrinated that a job gives you security. Now, when you look at self-employed, the value proposition there is independence, right? Independence, and that's good. That resonates with me. I've been a small business owner. I've been self-employed. I used to be in real estate and mortgages, and I used to be a recruiter and those types of things. So, but that gave me independence, and that's what you value most when you're in that quadrant. But a lot of times it's my way is the best way. I have to be doing it. These are the drawbacks, right, to that value system. Is like if you want it done right, you got to do it yourself. That kind of mentality that is leverage adverse because you don't give up control because you think your way is the only way, your way is the best way, and that's why you want to be independent, but you also want to have control over every little detail. The business owner, what they value is wealth building through leverage. Wealth building through leverage. And so when you read the book, Robert Kiyosaki, and a whole chapter on this, and it's going to show you, a whole book written about this, and it'll show you that he's talking about being able to leverage 500 employees or more. So when you have 500 employees that are trading time for money, well, guess what? That actually allows you to leverage your business. As an investor, though, the value there is on building wealth, financial freedom, but it's about leveraging your money. Okay? So the reason I bring that up, folks, is because what you value is going to be the determining factor of how you do later on in life, specifically on this call, which is the Millionaire Mentorship. So getting that straight in your mind, what is it that you value that actually places you into this quadrant is really what you need to analyze in order to get to the next quadrant, right? What am I valuing or what am I not valuing that is keeping me where I am? And so I'm going to give you some statistics, okay? And this is about the labor force participation rate age 65 plus. Now, the reason this happened is because I've been looking into some investment properties. I want to get a few more rentals. And I was looking at this one ad and it came up and some potential deal came up and I was looking at it. And it was like a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, and it looked fantastic. It was renovated. It looked great. And then when I paid close attention, it said 55 plus community. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm not, and just in my mind, I would always discard those, right? Because it wasn't, I didn't want to be in a 55 plus community or have rentals there, right? Because I was so much younger when I started looking at this. And so, but this time I was like, oh my gosh, the time has really gone by because I was like, oh my gosh, I can actually have this. And if I wanted to live there, it's only 2 years away. And I was like, oh my gosh, just time went by so quickly. And so I don't know if anybody's ever experienced that when you realize that, oh my gosh, I'm almost there. And so 55 plus, this says age 65, because here's what I'm going to show you is that the approximate, and this is from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, in the last 20 years or so, in the last 2 decades, participation among 65 plus population has risen by 50%. So over the last 2 decades, the biggest jump since the financial crash of 2008. But look at it what it was in 2004 and look at it where we are today. So it went from 13% to about just shy of 20%. That means that a lot more people are still working at 65. Now, there's a few reasons for it, right? One of them is longevity. People are living a little bit longer. And so maybe they want to work longer because they desire purpose or flexibility. And now different types of works that you can do that are not so physically challenging that you can still do. But I believe that most people that are working past 65 is because they're trying to offset what they can't make from whatever their retirement is, or it's simply not there, right? So insufficient retirement or savings or both is really the reason why most people age 65 plus are still working today. So this is what's happening. So the trend here is, okay, the trend here is for most people that work a job, the trend is that, hey, more people plus age 65 are still going to be working because simply not enough money. So if your value system says security, this should shatter that immediately. Because as I continue on here, you're going to see that, you know, the from then versus now, 20 years ago, the majority retired fully by age 65. Working after 65 was the exception. Today, nearly 1 out of every 5 people 65 plus is still in the labor force. For men, pay attention, men, nearly 1 in 4. Nearly 1 in 4. That's 25% of the male population over the age of 65 has to work right now. And guess what? 95% of people either have a job or they're self-employed. So you see how this is, I mean, this is alarming. For me, it's alarming. Like, look, I'm gonna work till the day I die, but because I love to work, I love talking to people, I love mentoring people, I love working with people on the spiritual side, right? I'm a co-pastor, and so I'll be working till the day I die. I already know that, but because I want to, not because I have to. That's the difference. And so working after 65 has become normalized. Okay. Now, we have been told that inflation is 2 to 3%. I'm going to recommend you to read a book. It's called Evangelpreneur. It's written by a good friend of ours, Carla and myself. His name is Josh Tolley. And he uses, and he really disagrees 100%. And this, convinced me. Hopefully, you guys are going to see what this is. And so, one good index to compare the metrics of what they're telling us is the inflation rate versus what it actually is, right? They're telling us 2 to 3%. Well, look at this. If we compare just the housing market, 1950s, the median home price was $7,400. The median income was $3,300. Now we're talking yearly income, right? So in the 50s, in a year, somebody made $3,300 and a home was $7,400. That was a ratio of 2.2. So 2.2 of your income, you could afford a medium home. 1970s, 20 years later, it didn't jump that much. It's still at 2.4. So if you look at the medium income, 9,900, just shy of 10 grand, and homes are about 23,400. Now jump again another 20 years. Now you're at 2.6%. So you're just shy about 3%, but not quite there yet. Still pretty good. 30,000 was the medium income. A home, you could buy it for 80,000. Now let's take a look at another jump. That was now look at the jump. It's only 10-year jump, right? But it went up by 2 points. So that's 42,000 to 119,000. Still doable. You're just shy of that 3% mark. But here's what I can tell you. I remember in right around that time, I think Carla and I probably bought our first rental, and I think it was like 100 grand. I think it was about 100 grand, and it was, it was a deal. It was like a 2 bedroom, 1 bath, and then we added another bedroom and rented it out and the whole thing. And actually quite did pretty good on that one, because I remember being able to pull out, out of that transaction, and with $60,000 profit. And so back then, that was the first time I ever had that. I think it was 50,000. It was the first time that I ever had $50,000 altogether at one time. And so it was, I came in with like a large bag, and I went to the bank, and they just gave me a stack that I could fit in a pocket. So something got lost in translation of what $50,000 looked like in a TV or a movie or something like that. But anyway, but if you look at the jump between 2000 and where we are today, if inflation was really 2 to 3%, then how is it that it takes you 4 times more in cost, right, than it did our grandparents to buy a house? And yet the income only went up about 75%. But look what a house price in 2000 was, about 119,000. Let's round it off to 100,000 for easy math. And in 2025, it's 400,000. That's a 400,000. That's a 400% increase. But look at the salaries. The salary didn't even double. So when they tell us that inflation is only 2 to 3%, well, I'm here to tell you guys, if you are an employee, you will never catch up to the rate of inflation. And this proves it to you. And this is just one index. This marker is just the housing. But it clearly dictates that if you are in the quadrant of employee valuing security, well, you're going to be working forever, because you're just not going to be able to catch up to the rate of inflation. So if inflation were 2 to 3%, the ratio would remain relatively stable, and it clearly does not. Now, disclaimer, not a financial advisor. This content is for educational and informational purposes only and does not constitute financial investment, trading, legal, or tax advice. Trading and investing involve risk, and past performance is not indicative of future results. Always consult with a licensed professional before making any financial trading decisions. Now, this is from a book. It's called The Psychology of Money, Chapter 4. This is how it starts. Confounding compounding. Now, 81.5 billion of Warren Buffett's 84.5 billion net worth came after his 65th birthday. Our minds are not built to handle such absurdities. Okay? But who is in this age range today that needed to hear this? I want to see who on here needed to hear this today. 81.5 billion of Warren Buffett's 84.5 billion came after the age of 65. So now let's talk about a million. See, I can't show you how to make billions. I'm close, but I'm not there yet. But I can show you how to make $1 million. I can show you how to make 10 million in a year. I can show you how to make $1 million a month, because I've done it. My wife and I have done that. Carla and I have done that as a team. Hasn't been by myself. It's been Carla and I working together as a team. Now, so if you made $1 million, because we have a clear path. If you saw the last presentation on Saturday, I said I've talked about a clear path. We have an opportunity where you could leverage people's efforts. So you go get 500 people here on auto ship, you're making $8,000 every single month, every month, and it grows from there. But what my point is that you could also learn how to leverage your money, right? So you have a clear path and structure, and you have leverage, and you have training, and you have mentorship on how to do so. So if you could get to $1 million, even if it happened at 65, if you made the exact same percentage of Warren Buffett's compounding, guess what? If the same numbers applied to you, that would be 96% that you made after age 65. So you'd wind up with $28 million, starting with $1 million. You see how powerful this is? Does everybody understand this? So to look at this right here, this is Warren Buffett. He's worth $84.5 billion, but $81.5 billion came after 65. So if we use, that's 96% of his wealth. 96.45% of his wealth, to be exact, came after making his first $4 billion. So we're not looking at those massive numbers, but even at $1 million after the age of 65, if you applied the same success and 96% of your wealth came after making your first $1 million at age 65, you'd wind up with $28 million. Is that powerful? Who needed to hear that today? I just want to see in the chat here. Who needed to hear this today? All right, wonderful. Wonderful. All righty. So now, millionaire thinking before millionaire money. Your mindset creates your milestone. Your mindset. So you have to think bigger. You have to think clearer. You have to understand the power of what you really have in front of you. Don't wait to have $1 million. Become the kind of person who attracts it. And that's why these calls are so important, because this is where you're going to learn the golden nuggets to actually get you there. Shift your thinking and speaking from if to when. This is super, super important, folks. Don't think of, oh my God, if I make $1 million, or if I get there. No. When I get there, and then put the time frame on when you want to achieve it. For everybody on this call, it should be 2026. There's absolutely no reason with what we have today that you cannot get there. There's absolutely no reason. What excuse are you going to sell yourself in 2026 that's going to allow you not to make $1 million? The million meets you at your level of maturity, not motivation, folks. Focus on value creation over effort. So here's where we're going to transition the rest of our call here tonight. Because it's my pleasure to introduce somebody that, number one, is probably one of the hardest people to introduce. Because this is a man that I worked with over the last 20 years, on and off. One of my closest friends. Somebody, you know, when you have a team of people that you work with, you know, there's so much synergy. There's people that my wife goes to, that she, you know, that she talks to consult with. There's people that I go to consult with. Obviously, my wife is always on that team. She's always there because she's the most intelligent woman that I've ever met. But there are other people that I go to, like, for example, Mr. Wences Navarro. He's somebody that I mastermind with all the time. All the time. Mr. Maurice Katz, which you're going to be hearing from right now, is undoubtedly one of the people that I mastermind with all the time. He knows how to mastermind. He's invaluable in that area, but he's also invaluable in creating systems and structure. He's also invaluable in building networks. He's also invaluable in design work and video work. And he's an artist, and he's a speaker, and he's done so many things in his lifetime that it's hard to introduce him or put him in one particular category. But I can tell you that months ago I did a training that was called In Between Millions. And that phrase, that turn of phrase, came from a conversation that we were having in my home. And so tonight I am super excited that we have Mr. Maurice Katz here with us. And I didn't see who came in or if he's even on, but Maurice, are you there?
Yeah, absolutely, Danny. Thank you so much.
All right, wonderful. Well, if you, I don't see your camera. Is your camera on?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay. I can't see where you are right here. I only see, there you are. Okay, perfect, great. So that way we can have a conversation here. But Maurice, we're super excited to hear from you. And I think the very first thing is tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about your journey. And so we get a good idea of what started you on your entrepreneur path and where we are.
Yeah, thank you so much, Danny. And I remember part of my entrepreneur journey is meeting you, which was a major part of my growth when I was younger. But I was originally born in South Africa. Now, I don't have an accent because I've been living in the United States most of my life. I was actually born as a miracle baby with my intestines on the outside of my body. So God had a purpose and a plan for keeping me alive. And I remember going through, school and stuff. And by the way, there was a woman at the hospital that my mom told me later when I grew up that when I got out of the hospital, they said, Maurice Katz, the businessman. Like she literally said that, a nurse. And so it always stuck with me when I was growing up as a child. But I was always like buying and selling stuff as a child. And my mom was always very entrepreneurial. So she always encouraged that. And I remember when I was in high school, I wasn't very good at like schoolwork. I mean, I worked hard. I got A's and B's, but I had to study a lot in order to do it. And I remember I just didn't like tests. I didn't like going to school. So I remember I was in an economics class one day and I was like, look, I'm not going to go to college. And at the time, the lady's like, well, then I'll see you working at McDonald's. And, all the kids laughed and they just had fun. They had a lot of fun with that. And I just remember I even told my guidance counselor, I said, listen, the only reason to go to college at that time is I believe like, look, it's to get a really good job because you want to learn a skill and you want to get a good job. But I said, if I own my own business, I don't need college to own my own business. So that was the mentality going into life. And so I graduated high school a little early because I had enough credits. And I already was working since I was 14 years old. I was working jobs. And by the time I was 19 years old, I opened up my first business. And the business that I opened was a mural painting company. So the way it worked was there was a lady that was hiring people as a mural artist. And because I was an artist all through high school, she took me in under her wing. She had a few artists and I would paint with her and I became an apprentice. But she didn't have a lot of work. Like it would happen where I'd work with her for 2-3 months at a time and then there'd be no work for 2-3 months. And I was like, I don't want to get another job. So I asked her, I was like, how much do you make? And how much do you make? How do you charge? She's like, well, I charge $800 a day. I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, you charge $800 a day. I'm not as fast as you or as good as you. I'll charge $400 a day. And I'm 19, right? So I remember I started, advertising a little bit, telling people I paint murals. And before I knew it, I was working on the side for my own company, created business cards, built a website, in 2001, 2002. And she at the time, I would work for her. And the days that I wasn't working for her, I was building my own company. And so that's what I started. And then about 10 years later, there was a gentleman at my church and he's like, wow, you've been doing this mural thing for a long time. Have you ever thought of taking your company public? I'm like, really? I could take my company public? He's like, yeah, absolutely. He's like, I'll help you do it. Because that's what he did. That was his, his career, his job. So I was like, all right, sure. So he took my company public, put it on the stock market. And then I ended up doing an exit and selling it for 6 figures. And that was one of my biggest, paydays, my doing that. But I started learning from him. Actually, he got me involved in trading because he was taking companies public. So I learned about penny stocks when I was like 20, 21, 22. So I remember turning some money into 6 figures in my early 20s because I was, investing all these penny stocks. And then I was like, well, what if I learned actually how to trade properly and invest in real big stocks? So then I realized, well, the stock market, these stocks are pretty expensive. Let me learn how to trade options. Then options were extremely confusing, but I learned how to do it. And eventually I learned how to trade penny stocks, regular stocks, then options. And at the same time, learning to build businesses. And so I was doing that simultaneously for 10 years. And it was pretty powerful. Right before I met you, Danny. You're muted.
Sorry about that. So Maurice, tell us a little bit about the industry, right? What are some of the lessons that you've learned in our industry specifically? Because I know that you've done a lot of different things, but you've also made millions in network marketing. So, and everybody that's on here right now, or the vast majority of the people that are on here right now, are part of a network marketing opportunity. So, what would you tell them as far as the industry itself and what it's done for you financially?
Okay, yeah, excellent. So when I was 20 years old, I was introduced to a company called, at the time, a Quick Star, which I didn't know what that was. Come to find out, it was Amway, but the online version. And they were basically trying to do what I guess Amazon is doing now, back in 1999, 2000. Well, I didn't know. And this gentleman's like, listen, man, the internet's the future. You got to get involved with this. I'm telling you. Now, at the time, I didn't want to have anything to do with the internet or computers, but I say, okay, if this is the future, let me do it. And during that time, I was, delivering pizza. I was working, and I started, and I was working down in Miami. And I remember, I said on the side, I'll build this business. And it was like I said, it was Amway Quick Start. And what ended up happening is I really learned because I bought all the books, I bought all the tapes. The comp plan's horrible. Just letting everybody know that comp plan's the worst. But it was like the school of hard knocks. While my friends are going to college, I'm literally learning how to do presentations, how to build people skills, how to, talk to strangers and build that confidence on how to create conversations and how to market. And so anyways, didn't do very well with that. Built a team of about 30, 40 people in 2 years. Most I ever made was a couple $100 in a month. And I probably spent more to make the check. So I quit and I was like, this is it. Like, I guess I'm not cut out for this industry. That's what I thought at the time. And then I tried a few more things before I met Danny, there was another company and they were selling at the time, they were selling cell phone service. And I was down in Tampa. I was up in Tampa and they were presenting how to get free cell phone service. And I said, and at the time, I was building my mural painting company. So I'm in my mural painting company for 10 years. 2008, the housing market hit really hard. My business was going down because, if you can't afford a house, they're not going to pay for a mural. And I'm like, I got to transition. And so all of a sudden, I'm like, I get into this network marketing company, refer 3 people and get your cell phone service for free. I was like, man, I could market that, I'm sure. First week made $800. I'm like, wow, I made more in my first week in this company than I did in 2 years working for Amway. I was like, we got something here. And I basically built a team and an organization down in South Florida by myself, no upline support, about 3,000 to 4,000 people doing hotel events. And that's what I learned. My one friend who was my mentor at the time, he was a good friend of mine. He was up in Tampa. And so no one was down here to build for me, nothing. And he's like, listen, Maurice, this is what you need to do. You need to do a presentation every day. I don't care if you're presenting to your dog, to your mom, to your friends, every single day, just do the presentation. I was like, all right. So that's what I did. I was like, so I rented out little Dunkin' Donuts rooms. I'd have my buddy and me, my brother, and like 4 people. And I'm doing a presentation every day. All of a sudden, one thing leads to another. And I end up, someone gets invited and this guy can bring a lot of people, big networker. I didn't know. All of a sudden, start building a huge organization, start doing hotel events. Now we're filling up rooms every week of 250 to 400 people a week, every single week. And it was crazy, right? I thought we were going to fill stadiums. I'm making 6 figures a year. I ended up buying a nice new car because people are like, Maurice, you can't drive that jalopy anymore, man. You got to buy something nice. You're representing, a company, you're making good money. So I ended up buying my first BMW, basically cash. It was brand new. And that's what I did. I was building it strong. And all of a sudden, company made a mistake. They did some silly things. And from one moment to the next, they lose their contracts for the cell phone service with T-Mobile. And basically, I go to nothing. Like I go from tens of thousands, like over $10,000 a month to basically $400 or $500 a month. I've got a car payment. Well, the car payment was pretty much paid off, but I had the place I was living, I had all these expenses, and I was going through all my savings. And I'm like, all right, you know what this is all about? I need to learn internet marketing because it's not about the company, it's about branding yourself. But while I'm learning internet marketing and how to do video marketing and sales and all this stuff, I'm just going broke and broke. And I'm basically losing, I'm going through all my money. I had some credit cards, started getting into credit card debt. And I'm like, man, I was on the top of the mountain, right? Doing great, thought this was it, right? The whole purpose of this industry is to get that financial freedom. And I find myself in debt now a year and a half later, and I couldn't believe it 2 years later. I'm like, this is crazy. And then I remember this one guy calls me up one day. He's like, man, I heard what you did with, that company with that cell phone. And, we're building a solid company right now and a team. I'm telling you, you need to get involved. And they wanted me to come up with like $5,000. They're like, look, if you're part of our group, you're going to come up with $5,000. And I said, listen, I don't have it. They're like, and this one gentleman said this, never say I can't, always say, how can I? He's like, you'll come up with the money if you say, how can I? But if you say I can't, you'll never come up with the money. So I was like, all right, how can I come up with the money? So I started selling stuff. I started selling my comic books. I started, before I knew it, I raised like $2,000. Then I got a check that I was owed from like 6 months earlier, came in from some other job. And then there was a gentleman, I told him, I was like, listen, man, I got a car sitting here. It's worth $7,000. I'll put it up for collateral. Just give me $2,000. I'll pay you back in 90 days. He's like, look, I'll give you the 2,000, but I don't need the collateral. I trust you'll pay me back. Well, within 60 days, I paid him back, made $25,000 my first 90 days in that company. And before you knew it, that was the beginning of the success again. And then every company after that, it was just home run after home run, no matter what I touched, because I developed the skill. I developed the understanding, because that's the thing that when you develop value that you can give someone and you develop some kind of communication skill and you're authentic about what you're doing. Like I wasn't all about, about the money. I was like, look, what can I promote that has value? And then my belief is based on the value that it'll provide that individual. That's all that mattered. Right. And so that's what I started doing.
So let's go with that track right there, Maurice. Because obviously you've done very, very well, and over the last 4 years, and I know that you've been trading for 20, but over the last 3 or 4 years, you've really focused on building a community in the trading space. And so I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about that, because I know that that's a big part of what you do. Every single day you're in the markets, and people here want to know about that specifically because we're in that industry as well. So let's go ahead and chat about that for a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say a quick tip that you might want to write down that I think has always been something that's helped me in my life, no matter what I've done, whether it's trading, whether it's building a team or a community, whether it's building a business, was I noticed the greatest amount of success I ever had was when I was focused, right? Because you can't be all over the place. I was determined, because no matter what, I'm going to make it happen, because you're going to come up against obstacles. You're going to come up against challenges. So you got to have that determination, that grit. And the last thing was consistency. It's like when I had all three of those going on at the same time, that's when whatever I did very well. But when I didn't have focus, but I had determination, it wasn't good. Or I had consistency, but I wasn't having focus. I was all over the place. You have to have all three elements. And so about 3 years ago, a couple friends of mine were asking me about trading again. And they're like, look, I know you used to trade a lot, and we really want to know, get your opinion on this. And I started masterminding about trading. And before you know it, I found myself becoming a coach in the trading industry. And I started trading every morning from 9:15 to 9:45 every day, starting 3 years ago. And at the beginning, when I started trading, I could just only trade, but I couldn't talk because, I'm focused. And I was like, and people would say, hey, I want to know what you're doing. And why did you place the buy? And I'm like, yeah, but I'm focused right now. I can't tell you what I'm doing while I'm doing it. I was like, but then eventually I developed the skill to disconnect and be able to speak clearly, articulate what I'm doing in the moment while I'm trading. So I was able to do both. And before you know it, I built a trading community where people would come on every day and they would just trade and they would follow the trades that I was doing. And then recently, and over the last couple of years, I've built a really great community, and we've taken things to a whole nother level because I was working for a company at that time and I was a coach. And then I ended up opening up my own kind of model and market and program. And I was able to help quite a bit of people do very well. And it's exciting to know that when you develop the skill to trade and you're not dependent on anybody, it's pretty liberating. And I realized that when I was 19, 20 years old, I figured, look, the only ways you can really make money, and we're looking at cash flow quadrant from Robert Kiyosaki. After I read that while I was at Amway, I said, look, the only real ways to make money is if you own a business that has a system. If you get into real estate, because I noticed a lot of people were making millions in real estate, or you learn how to trade the markets. And for me, I said to myself, well, if I can get in front of the computer, there's no one I got to talk to. I don't have to worry about the economy, the recession, the market. I don't have to worry about trying to buy a house and then trying to flip it and trying to deal with all the paperwork. If I can make money just sitting in front of the computer, that's liberating, no matter where I am in the world. And that's what that's what I determined to say, you know what, no matter what, I'm always going to continue to trade while I build my businesses. And that's where I'm at now. And so I'm excited about being able to share that knowledge and insight, because I tell you what, it's one of the hardest things you'll ever do, but it's one of the most rewarding. Trading is very simple, but what becomes very difficult is we bring our baggage to it. Like Danny was saying, our mindset, right? So if your mindset is not right, you don't have the right psychology, you don't understand risk management, even though if you learn how to trade, it's really about you developing that personal development. I think trading is one of the best personal development tools in the industry, in the world, period. It's just because it really reflects where you are in your maturity level. So it's powerful. Yeah.
So Maurice, I know you have a couple of slides that you wanted to share. So Chris, if you could give Maurice share permissions, I'd appreciate that. Or whoever's manning it.
Yes, he should be okay.
Okay, good. All right, go ahead.
All right, thank you. I'll pull it up right now. And you should be able to see my screen in a few moments here. All right, so for me, I always ask myself, like, when I do something, what's the purpose? What's behind it? What's my reason for doing it, right? And so the biggest thing for me was creating value in someone's life that has a lasting impact. And that's my goal for teaching people how to trade, because if you can receive that kind of value, this could change not only your life, but your children's lives and their children's lives, because it can really do that much for somebody. So what most people think trading is, it's only for the rich, the Wall Street gurus, the people that have a lot of money. But that's not true, especially in the day that we live in now. Average people can get into trading with very little money or capital. Trading is too complicated. Yeah, trading can be very complicated, but you can make it simple. I mean, really, there's only two things, right? Up or down, red or green, buy or sell. I mean, it is very simple in its ways, but what happens is a lot of times people do overcomplicate it, but it doesn't have to be. Trading takes a lot of time. Well, for me, I could be done trading within 15 minutes to a half hour every day. Now, if you want to stay longer, you can, but you don't have to sit at the chart 8 hours a day with 20 different screens. Trading is gambling. For some people, that's true. Trading may be gambling, but trading can also become a calculated decision that you're making at the time that you're looking at the charts. And people think that you can only make money when the market goes up. Well, that's true for a lot of people. If they're, talking to their banker and they're getting into mutual funds and certain stocks and stuff, sure. But the way a lot of us trade now, you can make money whether the market goes up or down. And that's called shorting. And so if you can make money when the market goes up or down, if the market if we go into a recession, guess what? We can make a ton of money as the market drops as well. So what's amazing about trading is it becomes recession proof and inflation proof. So what are you looking for? Like, I always want to know, like, what are you into? Why are you, what do you want out of life? What are you looking for, particular maybe with trading? But I'm going to share with you what we can offer. We can offer hands-on coaching daily from an expert in trading. Trade live only 15 minutes a day by following a trading coach. Like, you don't have to sit there for 5 hours, 2 hours, 3 hours. Like 15 minutes a day, you can be done and you can go off to your job, your business, and live the rest of your life. You know, we don't want to be glued to our screens all day. You get access to it, training courses and trading tools to develop your skills. Don't want to make you dependent on anybody or anything. You want to be able to develop the skills for yourself. So we trade the futures market. That's what I do personally. You know, after I've traded pretty much every market you can think of, I've decided to land on the futures market. I specifically trade the Dow Jones Index directly on TradingView. So I trade directly on TradingView. You can trade any symbol with the strategies we teach. So it doesn't have to be Dow Jones. It could be NASDAQ. It could be gold. It could be stocks, options, you know, any futures, or, you know, even Forex. It's based on price action. So you're learning price action. So we could trade all markets, all time frames. It doesn't matter if it's the 1 minute, the 5, the 15, the 1 hour, the daily. You can use this information, whatever you learn, for any time frame. I trade with U.S. regulated brokers. And for those that like to use prop firms, I use U.S. based prop firms. Why? Because they're inexpensive and dependable compared to international prop firms. Now, these are the trading choices that you have when you learn to start to trade. You can start with a demo or simulation account, which is practice. You know, that's what a lot of people need to do, especially if you're brand new. When I started trading, I didn't do that. I started with live trading when I was younger, and this is the only two options that I had. And after, you know, winning and losing, I finally realized, okay, maybe I should go to demo when I was younger. But the reality is these are the two choices. But now, because of the day we live in the last decade, they've opened a third option, which is prop firm accounts as well. So when you're trading a demo or practice account, some people may need a couple weeks, a couple months, depending on where they are in their journey. Some people learn at different rates. There's no risk with a practice account. With a live real trading account, 100% of your money is at risk 100% of the time. And then with a prop firm account, it's very little risk. That's because you're not putting up a lot of money up front. So with a demo account, specifically with TradingView, they give you 100K to practice with. Most people, when they trade a live account, they start with 5K to 20K plus. Why that amount? Because, you know, if you're trading with 500 bucks to 1,000, you're not going to make very much. So most people, try with 5K to 20K. And so if you have a decent amount, you can always start, you know, you can go from demo to live. And if some people may not have a ton of money to trade with, that's where you could leverage these prop firms, you know, and you can get anywhere from 25K, 50K and up. And so these are the choices that we have now as traders in this market. And you always want to do your own research and, you know, on the different either, you know, brokers or prop firms out there. So starting out correctly. So we tell people, especially if you're brand new, you've never traded before, start with a free TradingView account, paper trading. Then you can move to potentially a trading live, which is a real account, your money with a broker. And if you don't have much money, a prop firm is an option. And then, but again, with a prop firm, you must follow rules by being disciplined and develop the skills to trade. So the prop firm has these rules which kind of help you to stay within a plan, if you will, and making sure that you stay disciplined. But regardless whether you're trading a prop firm or your own money or even paper trading, you've got to be disciplined and you need to develop the skills to trade. Now, there's three major components and foundational principles to trading that I think is very important for you to understand. When I started trading, all I focused on was trade management. Oh man, I would just want to make money. I just need to learn how to look at the charts. I need to understand fundamental analysis, technical analysis, and I'll be good to go. But what I didn't realize is learning how to trade and understanding the charts is only 1/3. You got to still have emotional management, managing your thoughts and your emotions before, during, and even after trade, and risk management. The same with the wealthy. The wealthy talk about this all the time. It's not about how much money you can make. It's about how much money you can keep. So you need to be able to manage each and every trade because you want to make sure that your winning trades are larger than your losing trades. And most people start out where their losing trades are usually larger. And you could flip that very quickly and making sure that your winning trades are larger if you hold your winners and you cut your losers short. So you have control over how you feel about losses. You literally have control over that. Now, the only way you lose control of how you feel about losses, where losses cause you to be upset, bothered, disappointed, angry, is probably because either you're risking too much or you're over trading and you're taking way too many losses in a row. That's a key indicator that you're being emotional, and you do not want to be an emotional trader. You want to be a logical trader. Risk management, you have control over the losses. You have the determining factor. How much am I going to lose on this particular trade? It's not like, oh my goodness, I had no idea I lost, $2,000 on that trade. I had no idea it was going to do that. No, you have that control. You could say, you know what, on this trade, I'm not going to lose more than $100 no matter what. And guess what? You can do that. You have control over where you place your stop losses. Is it the previous pivot? Is it the previous high, the low, the previous candle, the previous several candles? Like, you have this control. So many people try to control, is the market going to go up? You can't control if the market's going to go up in this moment. You can't control if it's going to go down, and you can't control how far it's going to move. But the one thing you can control is what I'm showing you here on the screen. So take that to your advantage. Be good at understanding how to manage your losses. And this is where you're ahead of like 95% of traders. And the thing is it takes a trading plan in order to do this. Now, most beginner traders won't have a trading plan for months, sometimes even years, until they figure out, okay, maybe it's time to have a trading plan. My goal for you is to have a trading plan right out of the gate, because the reality is, if you own a business, you set up a business plan. If you have a house that you're building, you set up a blueprint plan. Why wouldn't you do the same for a trading plan? Are you treating this like a hobby, or is this a real business? And so it takes discipline to follow that trading plan. So what I'm going to do right now for you real quick is I'm going to show you, because some people say, well, what is it like trading with you in the morning at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, 6:30 a.m. Pacific Time? Well, I'm going to show you 3 days last week, well, the Thanksgiving week. So for the last 3 weeks, we won every day on, the Thanksgiving week, 4-day week. We won all of those days. Then on the week after Thanksgiving, we won all 5 days there. And then last week, we took 2 losses and 3 winning days. So, but I'm going to show you, I took 3 videos, each of them about a minute long, and it's going to show you how we trade in the morning, so you get a taste of what we do. Now, every morning I read this disclaimer. The content covered on this webinar is for entertainment, educational purposes only, and should not be considered as investment advice. I'm not a licensed financial advisor. All participants choose to attend at their own discretion. All trade ideas, concepts, images, analysis are completely speculative and delivered to all participants uniformly without regard to individuals' trade objectives, financial condition, or suitability, and should never be interpreted as financial advice. Past performance does not guarantee future results. Trading a margin can carry a high level of risk, and all participants acknowledge that they're trading at their own discretion and are fully responsible for the outcome of their own trading decisions. All participants can trade on a demo or simulation account and should never trade with money that they cannot afford to lose. So what you're going to see here is you're going to see how I'm going to make money and how the community can follow what I'm doing. So I'm trading on my account and the community can follow me. So not only can they follow me, but I explain to them what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So in this particular example, you're going to see we're going to make money as the market goes down. And so I'm going to speed up the video in the middle so that you're not sitting there watching all the candles print, but you'll see in about a minute and a half what we actually did on this particular day during Thanksgiving week. This might be the seller candle here. So you can see here that going for this breakout out of this range, if you will. So you can see right there that I'm showing you exactly what I'm doing. I'm explaining to you why I'm moving my stop loss. You can see I have 2 units, which is 2 contracts on the Dow Jones, which is the YM. And you can see what I'm doing right there. Still getting to see a nice strong drop. And as it's dropping, you can see where my stop is. If we can milk this for another few more candles, this could be a nice big win, even though I only have 2 units on the trade. It's not just how, when you get in, it's how you manage the trade is very important. All right, so we're getting down to a. So you can see there, I'm getting close to an area of support. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to close one of my units. $67 candle. I'm moving my other unit into this red candle just in case a big buyer comes in like crazy. But if not, I've got my stop down here. If the market blows right through this, I still got one more unit left. I just got stopped out right there. So there you go. I got stopped out on that particular trade. So you can see it's 9:45 in the morning. That the buyers could come back. Look at that. We got a green candle trying to push it back up. And I'm already out of the trade. So happen to be a winner, beautiful winner. So as you can see there, the market was pushing up right around that area. And so that was about between a $1,200 or $1,300 winning trade right there. And that would be at 9:45 a.m. We were done trading for the day. So, you know, people, if they had to go to work or they had to go, you know, to their business or whatever, that's it. It's done for that particular example. So the next example here is a buy. So you're going to see here how the market breaks up. Is this market going to break through the high from yesterday? There was a resistance right there. There was a high, and I was just waiting for a confirmation. I'm just going to risk it. I'm going to put my stop below this green candle. And as the market's, you know, going up, now I was only on one unit on this particular trade, just one single unit, which is like very low risk. I'm going to start moving my stop in the middle of this green candle just in case. I mean, that's a huge candle, a $53 candle. Just in case sellers come in, I'm going to start moving my stop in the middle of it. It's a huge win right here, folks. Look at this. That's a $600 win on a one unit is really big. So that was like basically, you know, so we're looking at around a $650 win potentially around here on one contract is not bad. And this is a winner turkey dinner right here, folks. And I was even saying, you know, this is a winner turkey dinner. There we go. Because this was on right at the top of that green candle. There it is. So you can see the stop right here. The red candle came in. Now the market could have gone higher, but I was content. You know, I was content. I mean, it's 9:33 a.m. and you can see here we're already done trading 3 minutes into the day. And you know, if somebody wants to continue trading, sure, they could trade to 11 a.m. That's totally fine. But you know, after 3 years of trading the market open, I teach people the skill on how to take advantage of these nice moves, because they're some of the biggest moves in the market, right there, right at the open. And then here's the last example. So you could see it's 9:30 a.m. and you'll see how I get involved in this particular trade. We could see a continuation from the buyers here. So you can see that the market's bouncing off of that 200 moving average right there. I'll go for a buy on this one. And you can see that that green candle is basically engulfing that red candle right there. Pretty much engulfed this red one. It could continue to go up. So I'm in 2 units on this particular trade. As you can see, two contracts. Stop right below this green one, just in case. So I got 2 stops. One, I'm tightening it up just in case the sellers come in. I'll get stopped out right at the top. So I moved one of my stops up, giving it a little bit more room, just in case the sellers came in. I'll just get stopped out. So I got stopped out at the top, and then I left this one just, you know, perhaps the market's got still enough momentum in it, and I'll just drag it up to the next green candle. Get another green candle. Pretty simple. It's not too difficult. Once the market starts running. Coming in. Is it struggling a little bit? See if it keeps going. So as the market gets to where I'm looking to take profit, I just move it right pretty tight. One green candle at a time. I'm just moving my stops. Simple. One green candle at a time. We had a huge winner today, folks. I just want to congratulate you. So as you can see, winner turkey dinner. We got some steak on the side. So as you can see, this is pretty simple. It's not too complicated. Again, I'm telling you exactly what I'm doing. I just got stopped out right there. And that's just to give you a sample, because sometimes people say, well, what is it like trading in the morning? And you can see this is at 9:38. We're done, which, in the West Coast, that'd be 6:38 in the morning. And so here's a few screenshots of, when you scale in. I've got a strategy where you could scale in up to 8 contracts as you're in profit. So you mitigate your risk. You don't increase your risk. You actually minimize your risk. You keep the same risk on, whether that's $200, $300 per trade, but then you add on to your trade as you go into profit. And as the market's really taking off, you can be in 8 units and really do well. So that's some screenshots here of what we did here. It's a powerful add-on trading strategy. Here's another one where the market's dropping, and you could see that was a double top right there. The market was starting to turn over, and I scaled into that trade as well. And you can see how beautiful that was. And these are like in about 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. This is the kind of results that is possible, is what I'm showing you. This is an example of what I recently did. And again, you could do that. Whatever I teach can be done on a demo account, a real account, like a live account, if you're trading a live account, or even for prop firms. So here's just an example how on the 25th of November ended up passing 4 prop firms in a day. And that was one of the things that I did. And again, I did 3 prop firms the very next day on 11/26. This was Thanksgiving week. It just, the markets were really, flowing really beautifully. And there were a lot of good opportunities and setups. And again, this is the testimonials for informational purposes only. It does not constitute an offer to sell, a solicitation to buy, or recommendation for any security, nor does it constitute an offer to provide investment advice. Trading in markets carries a level of risk that may not be suitable for all individuals. And past performance by anyone is not indicative of future results. And we make no guarantees that this will help you become profitable in trading the market. So again, this is just showing you what's possible. And again, it's something that you can learn. So what I'd like to do is we're putting together a boot camp. Danny and I have discussed this, and I want to offer some tremendous value. And I look at this as like a $300 to $500 value. I'm doing a boot camp, which is a trader challenge. And we're doing this on Wednesday and Thursday of this week at 1 p.m. Pacific time or 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I want to basically get you caught up and teach you as much as I can within those 2 days to get you learning as much as possible. And that's what I want to bring to the community, to share as much information and knowledge as possible in those 2 days to get you up and running and learning what I know, and hopefully you can shortcut your success and learn from other people's experience and just instead of just your own. So thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much, Danny.
All right, Maurice. Well, so folks, that's going to be this week. It's Wednesday and Thursday. It's absolutely part of your membership already. So make sure that you jump on and get as many people on there as possible from your team that might have not been on this call tonight. But I think that, all of our educators are fantastic. From Mr. Donnie Pips, who's just an amazing educator, to Jaciel, to Roxy, to Sebastian and Lex. And so now we have Maurice, and it's like, well, who do I go to? Who do I go to? And the reality is they're all good. But everybody has a different style, and sometimes people, for whatever reason, they hear the exact same thing from somebody else, but it's a different voice, different style. And then maybe that's the one thing you needed to hear. Maybe that's the teaching style that resonates with you, right? It's also very important. And so Maurice does come with a lot of experience. It's somebody that I know personally. I know him very, very well. I know that right now he's trading with, I believe, about $700,000 that he could trade at his disposal. And so being able to be working with somebody that can do those things and not just talk about them, but does them in the market every single day, Sometimes we're masterminding, we're talking, and he's like, "Oh, I just made $4 grand on that trade," and he's showing me right on the, "Oh, I just made another 3,000," and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, what am I doing here?" Right? I gotta start trading again. So it's it's infuriating in a nice way, in a nice way. So, folks, that's gonna wrap it up for tonight. So I want, how many people there got some tremendous value from this call here today? How many people enjoyed Mr. Maurice Katzer? Let's show him some love in the chat.
Thank you so much. I'm seeing all the messages, people saying this is a great presentation. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Awesome. So excited. God bless you all. You're so awesome. It's so amazing. I'm so glad that Danny invited me to be a part of your community and to be here to help and serve. And, I want to serve the best that I can and help you as best as I can. So that's my heart and my goal.
Awesome. So wrapping up here, folks, I want to remind you that I didn't want to put this off and say, you know what, it's so short term and it's at 12 and I get it. Whoever can get there on, get on. If you can't, well, you can't, but we'll record it and the whole thing. But get as many people, because here's what it is. Our industry is about collapsing time frames. And we're moving into the end of this year. We want to end this year strong, but we also want to, the worst thing in this world is to have sight without vision, right? I want to have that vision for 2026, but it starts today. It doesn't start in 2026. If we're starting in 2026, you're already late to the game. Right now, these last few days, we have about 2 weeks before the end of this year, and these 2 weeks are crucial to your success. So let's take advantage of the education. Let's get on with what we're doing. Let's go share this with the world, folks, because what we have right now, combined with all of the other tools, combined with all of the automation, combined with the stuff that you don't even know is coming as part of the package in 2026. We're working with other brokers. We're working with other developers that have some amazing tools that we've been vetting over and above the amazing tools and automation that we have right now that none of you have even seen. So, folks, there's a lot of things coming. And, Maurice is also a part of that right now. So thank you, Maurice, for taking the time to be here with us today. Phenomenal job, phenomenal information, and we wish you all the success that you deserve. And also each and every one of you that took your time to be on this call tonight. So thank you so much, and God bless, and we'll see you next time.
Recording stop.